Okay, so let's keep going with this thing, and let's wrap this up. Let's kind of get our way through Horkheimer and Adorno. Um, all right, let's get some. I think we're just gonna kind of zip through this. I don't even know if I have 20 more minutes of this to do. Um, so he talks about how, like, the no machinery of rejoinder has been devised. I mean, there's no response when you watch a Marvel movie. There's no response you can make that would also be $1 billion movie because you don't have $1 billion. Private broadcasters, meaning like little guys that aren't Disney, sort of, you want to make a movie with your friends, are denied any freedom. They are confined to the apocryphal, that means unofficial, field of the amateur. It's just amateur shit. People don't take that seriously. And also, um, and also have to accept organization from above. But any trace of spontaneity, like originality, from a public in official broadcasting is controlled and absorbed by talent scouts, studio competitions, and official programs of every kind selected by professionals. So the idea is that no one's allowed to do anything surprising or spontaneous. I often don't watch politicians. I don't like to watch people give political speeches. By the way, you should probably watch politicians so that you can be informed. But I can't stand watching them because nobody ever says anything really surprising. Everything is calculated to win votes from a huge number of people, and so nobody ever does anything crazy. It's all pretty predictable. And obviously, Trump did some crazy stuff and got elected on that basis. Um, it's an unusual example, although also an example of rich guys rising the ranks. And so there's actually, while Trump's behavior may be surprising, there is nothing surprising about a rich old white guy climbing the ranks and becoming even more powerful. So that's not as surprising. But the point is that Adorno's point is that there's no surprise. One of the things you're going to discover if you take film class with me, and I hope you've seen it in Hamlet too, is that these things are surprising. They're strange. Hamlet's so weird. It's such an odd play. There's so many strange things in it. And in film class, you're going to see things you've never seen before in movies. They're so strange. Such odd movies and unusual things. But it doesn't happen. Very rarely, when I go see a Marvel movie, I'm very rarely really surprised. And again, that's the function of me being 40. I've seen a lot of movies before, and so I've got the rhythm of them. I kind of know basically how they're going to go because I've seen so many of these kinds of things. But Adorno's point is that, like, there's no surprise, there's no change, there's no spontaneity, there's no originality because mass culture is designed to churn out the same product. Oh, another example. I'm sorry, McDonald's. Let's talk McDonald's. I think I may have said this already. But McDonald's, the thing about McDonald's, I think people love about McDonald's. I mean, it's pretty good. McDonald's is all right. I eat McDonald's. Sure, it's fine. It's never really amazing, but it's always, basically pretty satisfying. I like a good 20-piece chicken McNugget. But the thing about McDonald's is that what people really find comforting about McDonald's is if you get McDonald's by BMCC or you get it in the Bronx, it tastes the same. It also tastes the same if you are on a road trip in a state you've never been to. If you go to California, it tastes the same. Minnesota, it tastes the same. I flew through Dubai on my way to India, and there was a McDonald's there. It tastes the same. Wherever you go, it tastes the same. It's never amazing, it's never surprising, but it's always sort of reliable because you get what you expect. That's what the Marvel movies give you and the superhero movies. They give you something that you're already expecting. And that makes it, because if you want to try a new food, right? Um, it may be the most amazing thing you've ever had in your life, but it also may be totally disgusting. One time I had creamed corn ice cream. I was like, I'm gonna try this because I never had this before. And guys, it was fucking gross. But sometimes you can have amazing things like cereal milk ice cream. Um, so the problem with going outside of your comfort zone is you end up trying something new. But is it actually you can? So the thing about McDonald's is it's never great, but it's never terrible. Whereas if you try something new, it might be great, but it also might be bad, and that's kind of dangerous for people because if you feel like oh boy, I screwed up here and I got something bad, it's a risk. And what rich guys and companies are trying to do is reduce risk because what they really want is for you to come back and come back and come back. All right, cool. By the way, that's the same reason why your teachers are all so crazy and different from each other, is because we're not required to be the same. Your classes, I'm not required to give you like, there are other versions of this class, English 250, but there's not like a required textbook we're supposed to use. Each professor gets to pick out their own shit, just like each chef gets to pick up their own shit and decide what they're going to serve in their restaurant. I'm like a professional chef who gets to pick out all the ingredients. But for a place like McDonald's, they can't just be like, you know what, I'm going to make spaghetti. That's not a thing. They don't do that at McDonald's. So, yeah. Anyway, that's the point. Is college is attempting to provide some spontaneity for you, but the rest of the world doesn't want that. All right, let's see what else we got here. Talented performers belong to the industry long before it displays them, meaning professional actors, they know how to play the game. You think they're interesting personalities, but they're actually pretty well controlled in order to be successful. And so the things they're saying in interviews or stuff, they may seem crazy, but it's carefully thought out for their careers. Otherwise, they would not be eager to fit in. The attitude of the public, which ostensibly and actually favors the system of the culture industry, is part of this system and not an excuse for it. If one branch of art follows the same formula as one with a very different medium and content, then the claim that this is done to satisfy the spontaneous wishes of the public is no more than hot air. Right? The people go, oh, this is what the public wants. It's all you've ever given them, so it's all they know to ask for. We are closer to the facts if we explain these phenomena as inherent in the technical personnel apparatus, which, down to its last cog, itself forms part of the economic mechanism of selection. Indeed, there is agreement, or at least a determination of all executive authorities, not to produce or sanction anything. Gotta turn the page, sorry. But there's an aim on the bosses not to produce or sanction anything in any way different from their own rules, their ideas about consumers, or above all themselves. Right? The whole goal is not to produce anything different, because here's the thing: something different might lose money. And the goal of these guys is to make as much money as humanly possible, which is why Guardians of the Galaxy 2 looks an awful lot like Guardians of the Galaxy 1. It's why Deadpool 2 looks an awful lot like Deadpool 1. Actually, one of the few superhero movies that breaks the mold is Logan. If you've seen the movie Logan, Logan is my favorite superhero movie of all time. It doesn't look like the other ones. Into the Spider-Verse is also one of my favorite superhero movies because it looks less like the other ones. They're still relatively similar, but they're at least trying to do something different. Okay, let's take a look. In the culture industry, the individual is an illusion. Not merely because of the standardization of the means of production. He is tolerated only so long as his complete identification with the generality is unquestioned. Pseudo-individuality is rife, meaning there's like being an individual in a fake way is very common. From the standardized jazz improvisations to the exceptional film star whose hair curls over her eye to demonstrate her originality. What is individual is no more than the generality's power to stamp the accidental detail so firmly that it is accepted as such. The defiant reserve or elegant appearance of the individual on show is mass-produced like Yale locks, where the only difference can be measured in fractions of millimeters. So a Yale lock is just like a lock with a key. And the point is they all look the same. Now, every lock is slightly different. That's why one key only works with one lock. You can't take one key and open up all the locks. They are slightly different, but they're basically, so this is the point, he's talking about how art is mass-produced art is all the same. But the real danger of this is what it does to the audience. Remember, this is the art and audience unit. Watching movies and TV shows that are all the same it affects the audience. Well, how does it affect them? It creates an audience that is the same. The same from day to day, but also the same as each other. They're like Yale locks. They may be slight, tiny little differences. That's why one key can't open another one. But basically, they're all pretty much the same. And this is the danger of this kind of art, is the effect that it has on the audience. It essentially it essentially creates cookie cutter people that are all the same. Because if you watch all the same movies and all the same shows, then they influence you in the same way, and you end up coming out the same. Okay, cool. I think I'm done with this video. Next video.